Alrighty. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Team Galactic podcast, creating a newer and better world not just for you, but also your Pokemon. We're your hosts.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Justin, and today we're going to be talking about our history, why we started this podcast, and pretty much why we're here. So let's get right to it. Andrew, do you want to start us off with a little bit about yourself and how you got into the Pokemon game?
My name's Andrew. I also go by Sursworth. Got into Pokemon as a kid. Long story short, part of the religious stuff kind of interrupted that, and I didn't get back into Pokemon. I would say Black and White is the first game I got back into, and then when I met Justin in college, that's when I got back into the card game and learned I was playing it wrong all those years as a kid.
Don't we all?
I mean, if you want to put a Charizard down with 3 fire energy your first turn, that's cool, right?
Right. I mean, I think we all, as a bunch of kids, we just didn't know how the game was, so we were just like, hey, let's just make up the rules as we go. Like, for me, whenever I was in middle school, we always thought that energy was extra HP. So, like, we would have, like, these massive decks that would add, and we would just create these massive different, like, rules. And it was, like, kind of crazy. It was like you're sort of, like, kids tabletop Pokemon sort of shit.
Yeah, I think the only card that we fully understood was the Professor Oak card, which is like discard your hand and draw 7 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like, that card's straightforward. The others were just, we didn't understand as a kid.
Right. And I'm Justin. I have been playing the Pokemon game since I was about 3 years old. My first interaction with Pokemon came with watching Pokemon Crystal as like the commercial and seeing Suicune as the very first Pokemon that I've ever seen, right? That was that experience that made me fall in love with Suicune as one of my favorite legendaries and just in love with Pokemon as a whole. So, and then when I got to elementary school, I was kind of getting into Pokemon, and it wasn't really until middle school that I was like, a bunch of people like, hey, come on, like, Pokemon, like, it's really cool. And I'm like, okay, so I wanted to get into Pokemon, and I did, and then I was, of course, by like the 6th and 7th grade, in my area, Pokemon was sort of like faded out. And like, everybody's like, oh, that's so old news, why do you still like Pokemon, why do you still collect it? I got bullied massively for it, bro. And it was
I went through the same thing. Everyone's like, Pokemon's dumb, and I'm like, what do you mean?
And it was just
so I guess everyone's like, no more Pokemon. That's around the time I got into Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'm glad I got out because it's just way too confusing now.
Right. And it was just this awful time in my life, but like Pokemon just kept with me, and it wasn't until I got about 8th grade, I want to say. 8th grade in the US. It's year 8 for people across the pond and everywhere else. And I started to pick up the card game, like actually pick it up and learn how to play it with some theme decks and collections. And I was like, wait, this game is actually really cool. Let me just like actually keep doing it. And then I got to old enough, like I was in high school, I was playing games with friends. After high school, I really got this strength of competitive, but I wasn't the competitive player that I am today. I was sort of like this hybrid casual competitive. I wanted to play competitive, I knew what the cards did, and then, granted, mind you, this was when Seismitoad was still standard legal.
Oh, I met that card and expanded. That was...
So that's kind of where I started to kind of get into competitive, and then whenever I got to Florida for college, that's when just competitive took off, bro. I went to Cool Stuff one night, had my deck, and I was like, wow, I'm getting fucking pub stomped. But I learned a lot. And it was different for me. And then I met my few friends that I have, Chris, Will, and Steven. Thank God they were there to help me. They helped me learn kind of Decidueye, how to play the deck, and kind of really get into it. So this is whenever Sun and Moon base set came out that I was really starting to get heavily into competitive. So you have Black and the XY area still there, and then you have Sun and Moon starting to come into it. And coming out as one of my all-time favorite cards is Decidueye GX. And then
yeah, that card's fun to play.
Yeah, especially in this was when Forest was still illegal in the format. And then
that was fun.
Yeah, it was always fun. Favorite format, probably to this day. And then, as I was going through college and playing competitively, I met you, and you were like, "Hey, I want to learn how to play Pokemon because I've never learned." And I'm like, "Lit, let me teach you." And
yeah,
if you want to talk
I had
about,
limited cards, and that first deck was just garbage.
Yeah, if you want to talk about a little bit about your experience and like how you how it was learning the game and coming back to it.
It was interesting because it's like, oh, I can only put one energy per turn, and now there's different rules from when it came out, which is definitely interesting because now what we used to have for rules is like unlimited, expanded, legacy, and it became standard and expanded. So it's like, I have these limited cards, I can learn everything, I can only touch one energy, you can only attack if there's this, and there's things that can stop it. It's just, it was a lot to take in, but once I figured it out, it's like, okay, I got the rhythm of it. But like, starting to play in person at tournaments, I was like, can I read the card? Because there's like so many cards I never saw before.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it, Crimson Invasion or Burning Shadows I came in?
Yeah, right around that time. It was right, I think it was right before Buzzwole came out.
Yeah, and a lot of, was it some Black and White was still standard, or
no,
was that?
It was XY stuff.
XY on, yeah. That's just a lot to learn.
Because you came in either at the very end when N was still legal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you came into the Fates Collide era. Or did you have Versus Seeker in your format when you played in Standard? Did you have that?
I don't remember. I remember playing N.
So, a good question I have, was Mega Ray legal and Standard when you were playing?
I don't recall seeing that, so no.
Okay. So, then yeah, you came in the Fates Collide era. That was Fates Collide, Breakpoint, Breakthrough, with Zoroark Break and stuff like that. And N, Zygarde EX, when that came out. And,
I remember that card.
Yeah, really good.
The promo's really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I still have it somewhere. It's also nice because you go to like tournaments and people can obviously tell, hey, this person's new, and they'll help you out a little bit. They're not going to be like, I'm gonna hold your hand and play for you though. So like, I would play a card and be like, is this the right order to do things? Because I didn't want to get in trouble or anything. But people are quite helpful, which is very nice.
Yeah, that's usually one of the good things about the Pokemon community is many of us are very helpful and kind and like, hey, you want to learn, we'll help you learn our game. And plus, we're not at like a regional or a league cup. We're not trying to play for money or championship points or anything like that. We're just playing to have fun. If we top, we top.
Yeah.
Of course, you got some players at locals that are like kind of different. They're like, ew, I want to play the most competitively viable stuff, and that's fine if you want to do that, but go play it at the right time.
Yeah, if you're gonna do that, go for like regional worlds, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And we're actually trying for our world invites, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm hoping I get paid tomorrow, so I'm hoping I can finish my deck out, and I'm gonna start looking at the new set, which is Silver Tempest. See if there's any cards I could throw in there from that, because that comes out, I would say about a week or two. Yeah, it comes out November 12th or 11th, I think. So, very soon.
It might actually be November 11th, because that's the second Friday of November, like the first full Friday. So tell us a little bit about what deck you're playing.
I'm playing a Zoroark deck. It's really interesting because it does more damage for damage counters on your Pokemon. So there's like a number of cards I have in here that easily set that up. Obviously, I feel it needs a little more tweaking, but I think maybe with Silver Tempest, I might get that tweaking I'm looking for. There are a few decks that I worry about because I've not experienced them enough, or they just set up so fast that I don't know how to beat it. But I'm looking into how to beat it.
So, are you playing regular Zoroark, Zoroark GX, Hisuian Zoroark. What are you playing?
It's, the Huizian Zorg V and the V Star. I'm actually excited for that box that comes out in like 2 days because the promos look really nice.
Oh yeah, they look really good. I would definitely highly recommend if you guys haven't looked at them. The promos for Pokemon are always really gorgeous. And speaking of Pokemon, that's actually what this podcast is actually going to be about. We're going to talk mainly each time we stream. We're going to talk about Pokemon, the entire universe about it. Just anything from the video games, the anime, the manga that comes out, whatever it is for Pokemon, we're going to talk about it. And we're going to have a great time with it just because we're just two dudes that want to talk about Pokemon. And this podcast was actually Andrew's idea. So Andrew, what made you come up with this idea and why did you want to do a podcast?
It's actually one of the podcast episodes we're going to do later. The idea came from, I want to talk about cards that went from standard to expanded, and are they still viable? Because obviously there's cards that rotate out, and you have cards that go from like $75 because everyone's playing it, they drop down to like pennies because no one's playing it because it rotated out. So I wanted to go over some of those and see if they're still playable, still viable, and if there's been any like replacements or reprints.
Got you. Okay. So, yeah, like Andrew said, a little bit to come, we are going to talk about like the expanded format, and if there are still cards in there like Volcanion EX, Mega Rayquaza EX, stuff like that. Stuff that used to be in the standard format, they used to be really good, and whenever they got sent to expanded, used to be really good. But can they hold up even nowadays? Because that's something I'm kind of really curious about. Without testing that myself and without seeing like the results of that testing, just kind of looking at it from like the paper standpoint, like how does let's say like Mega Rayquaza EX stand up to Hisuian Zoroark VMAX, stuff like that.
Yeah, because there's attack differences, there's health differences, there's rules that are slightly different, and like the V Stars and V Maxes have a lot of health, so it's like can it stand up is the real question due to the damage difference.
Yeah, it's definitely a really good indication of where the Pokemon trading card game has gone, as well as where it's going. Because for me personally, I feel like the card game is declining in terms of how much HP is coming out, how much damage something does. Like it's looking like the game is going back to 1 to 2 shots instead of 3 to 4 shot.
Yeah, if I set up this deck right and hit weakness on something, I can do like 1,000 damage. I've seen it done before with some of the standard decks, and it's ridiculous.
That's gross.
Because the only way you could do that before, yeah, it's also gross. Because like the only way I could do that before with a GX was Incineroar GX, and you had the risk of easy prize cards for your opponent because you had to damage yourself to do those big numbers.
Okay. Yeah, it like I've even seen cards like Radiant Heatran do over 4,000 damage. That's disgusting.
It is. I actually have a deck for that just because I got tired of the Mew decks online.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to earn my credits to buy new packs. Can you like let me win, please? Mew's like, nope, turn 2 win, turn 2 win.
Scrub
like,
play.
Thanks.
That's such a scrub response. Can you let me win? That's such a scrubby answer.
I know, but it's like you see Mew and Genesect and Meloetta, and you're like, nope, I'm done. Scoop, next.
And that's also going to be like a huge topic that we talk about. It's just the competitive Pokemon meta, where we see it going, and then we're going to be taking like an in-depth look at like certain sets that are coming out, depending upon when we're actually filming these episodes, right? And we're going to look at how long, like the impact on the meta that we think they're going to have, and we don't know because we're not there in the future to see the impact of these certain cards, right? We can only theory craft.
Yeah, there's cards I've seen from what is it, Rayquaza VMAX.
Mm.
It's just basically Rayquaza GX. Because it's fire and lightning again.
Right.
It's like, oh, discard it, do damage. I'm like, okay, you guys brought that back. Thanks.
And also another thing that we're going to be talking about soon is the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the video games, the anime when that drops, as well as the TCG, because the TCG is really shaking some things up with this Scarlet and Violet EX set coming out.
Mm. I was surprised. They're like, here's the Pokemon, it's EX. And I'm like, you guys did EX already, but who knows what they're going to have. It's probably for good reason. Hoping they go back to low health again, where it's like 120, maybe 250 at most.
Like, that's what it looks like. It looks like the new EXs that are coming out that you have to evolve are looking like they're really big numbers, but you have to get there first.
Yeah.
Kind of like how the GX era was, or the original EX that was back in the day with EX Ruby and Sapphire all the way to before Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah.
I think Dragon Frontiers with that last set. I would have to look it up and see, because I'm almost certain.
You know more about that than me.
Yeah, and speaking of that, that's actually why Andrew here wanted me to join in on with him, because I know so much about the game. I've been so enveloped into the game. I've been a Pokemon professor before, which is just a judge for like Pokemon card game, and I've just been such an enthusiast for Pokemon that he wanted me here to help be able to talk about these things, just so that we can just have a good time and a good solid discussion and maybe learn a thing or two from each other, because there's not everything. I don't know everything, right? And there's something that he might know that I don't. Yeah,
like I suggested, was it canceling Cologne for your deck?
Mm-hmm.
Just a one or two of, because people play that Miltank out, and it's like that comes out, well, you're kind of stopped for a moment.
Yeah, and
there's ways around it.
Doesn't it also work on Empoleon?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It disables abilities, and it's nice.
Yeah, so like for what I'm playing, Hisui and Gudra V and V Star, I mean, which kind of requires the Comfy engine, which I looked the top two cards of my deck. I put one into the Lost Zone, which is kind of like the Exile of Magic, or the Shadow Realm, Banished in Yu-Gi-Oh, to Pokemon, and you can't use them or bring them back. So I need that for extra draw, and then the other card goes into my hand. So I'm looking at the top two cards of my deck, pitching one, putting one into my hand.
That's how you get going with that deck too, because once your deck gets going, it's like, I can't stop it. I can't keep up.
Yeah, because once the deck gets going, for me, it's because of the tank build. I just negate so much damage that you just can't output my numbers, and then we talk about certain decks like which we will in the future, that just do outrageous numbers that I can't compete with. Andrew, what's your favorite Pokemon game that you've played to date? It can be main series, side series. What's your favorite game, and why?
That's a hard one, because Black and White has always been my favorite since I got back into it, but I can't remember the name of it. It's the one with the ancient Pokemon.
Describe it some more.
Which one? The Huisian area.
Oh, Pokemon Legends, Arceus.
That's what it is, Pokemon Legends. Yeah, I really like that one.
You've always been like a big fan of like lore and like learning more about the Pokemon world, right?
Yeah, which is why I'm like, can we get more info on the Pokemon War? And Pokemon's like, no, it ended. Move forward.
It's so funny. They like to start doing extra things with Pokemon, and then it's like we just take it away. It's like, why? I'm trying to.
It's like, this is an alternate timeline. It's like, what do you mean it's an alternate timeline? I'm confused now.
Yeah, it's just like how Red and Blue is different, and Fire Red and Leaf Green are different from like Let's Go, just because they're on two different timelines.
It is. It's
there's the
lore's a little messed up, but it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And then Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun confirmed that there were different, more different universes where the evil bad guys actually went through and finished their evil plots. Giovanni took over the world, Groudon ruled the world, Kyogre, so on and so forth. So, for me, my favorite Pokemon game of all time would have to be Pokemon Heart Gold. I am a huge Heart Gold fan. Johto is my favorite region just because of the mythology that's there, what it's based off of. I love Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is one of my favorite Pokemon. Also Suicune. And the myth that Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon were reincarnated to be Raikou, Entei, and Suicune because of the burn tower that caught on fire.
I love reading that one. It's like it makes sense based on the evidence that's there.
And then there was a Pokemon special. I think it was Pokemon Evolutions. It might have been like a short 5 to 15 minute short on YouTube that they did, where it was like the Kimono girls actually acting out and telling the story of the burn tower and Ho-Oh and stuff like that. It was really cool. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's super cool. It's because of just how much there is to do in Johto. As well, like there's following Pokemon, there's the Pokeathlon, there's going to Kanto, and so many different things. And it fixed the level curve that was kind of like dealing with original Gold, Silver, and Crystal. It also incorporated some of the Crystal events with Suicune and Yucine. And what I like that they're doing with Scarlet and Violet is you can challenge Gym Leader in any order. What I really really wish they would do is I really wish they kind of implemented that with Johto. Because they started to, right? They started to with After Morty, I think it was, which is the 4th gym in Ecruteak.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a speedrunner, I've seen them, they're like, yeah, we're starting with Giovanni if you do this little glitch to get through this area. And I'm like, okay, I don't know why, but go ahead.
And then their levels curve with you, which is a really cool thing. It's like
yeah, that's definitely a cool thing.
How many gym badges you have. And if you haven't heard, I'm wondering if I should speak about this now or for Scarlet and Violet whenever we do talk about it. Since it is Scarlet and Violet related, I'll actually wait. That'll probably be a few episodes down the line. Sorry for any of you guys who are like, "Hey, let me hear it."
I actually pre-order that still. I need to find a place that has a pre-order I like. I don't think there are any, so I might just get the digital.
Just buy it on release, because there's no real pre-orders that you're gonna really want. Because Amazon's not doing anything, Walmart's not doing anything really interesting, Target, GameStop, they're not really doing anything interesting.
The only pre-order I remember is like, here, you get some berries, and I'm like, what? Why? They're one-time use once you're done, and if you restart the game, they're gone, so why?
Yeah, like, what I really liked what they used to do was their, like, actual pre-order bonuses, like figures and stuff, what they did with, like, Heart Gold and Soul Silver as well as Platinum. Those are cool figures, bro. I would kill to have some of those, right?
Yeah, they are nice. What is it, Pokemon Snap? I got the map. It's pretty cool. I like pre-orders like that, when it's like something cool or worth it. It's like, here's a steelbook, here's a pen, you know, something physical I can hold on to. Here's a keychain. And there's also a free advertisement in a way, because people are like, where'd you get that? And be like, I pre-ordered this game.
Oh, I could have got that if I pre-ordered? Man, maybe I should pre-order the next game. It is free
Exactly.
marketing. 100%.
Now it's like, why should I pre-order your game now?
If you're gonna give me
free berry.
Like if you're just gonna give me extra in-game content that I can probably get without even trying for it, you know?
Yeah.
I think for introductions and talking about what we're gonna be doing here, and I think that serves as like good for us. Don't you think so, Andrew?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, alrighty, guys. We will be back sometime in the future with our next episode. I can't positively say when, but we're gonna be trying for like Wednesday evenings. that's when Andrew's work schedule lines out, and that's when my schedule has sort of been able to kind of hold it together with our free time as well. So next time we're going to actually be talking about what was it, Andrew, that we're going to be talking about?
Our favorite Pokemon in each region.
Right. Our favorite Pokemon in each region, what teams we would build in each region, our favorite Pokemon of all time, and then what we would do as a trainer if as a person in the Pokemon world if Pokemon were to ever become real.
Mm-hmm.
So, with all that out of the way, this has been the Team Galactic podcast. Again, I'm one of your hosts, Justin.
And I'm Andrew.
And we'll see you guys next time, casting all the way from the Sinnoh region. Take care.
Goodbye.